A deadly new absolute villain has arrived, and new secrets of the Green Lantern are revealed. A white circle in a black void. A voice reaches out. Stephen Dayton, be with fear. The voice calls. The circle solidifies, becoming a planet. The world that's coming comes closer every day, every hour, every second. Warn your planet. Warn everyone. Be with fear, Stephen Dayton. Fear the face of steel, the voice says. A face appears in the darkness and stares. Stephen Dayton rears back in his chair as a power surge moves through his equipment. He pulls off the helmet and stares at his instruments, but nothing appears. Suddenly, there is a knock at the door. Stephen reaches for his pistol and moves to answer it. "Are you the pizza I ordered?" Stephen calls, pressing the barrel of the gun against the door. There is a brief pause before the response. "I'm here with good news," a voice calls. Stephen thinks about it for a moment before shrugging. "Close enough," he whispers as he opens the door and lowers the pistol. Terry stands with a bag of groceries and a smile. "It's supposed to be, I'm here with the good news, Terry. Like you're selling religion. What we're building here is the potential to change the world, or destroy it. We can't let the secret out, not until we're ready," Stephen reminds him. Terry nods as he walks in the door and puts the food on the counter. "We're close though, right? There was that thing this morning," he points out. Stephen nods, explaining that he was trying to repeat his experiment to make sure he wasn't merely experiencing fascinating hallucinations. He puts the gun on the table. But trying those settings again, it was the same. A vivid mental image. "I no longer believe this is hallucinatory, Terry. I think I've made contact. A connection to a thought process outside the human experience. The Mento device reached a consciousness beyond this world. It spoke to me. It warned me, Terry," Stephen says as Terry walks over to the computer. Stephen looks at the bags of food, looking for anything that Terry had brought for lunch. "God, I'm starving. Did you bring lunch?" Stephen calls. Terry turns away from the computer, a silenced pistol in hand. "No," he says before squeezing the trigger 4 times. The rounds rip into Stephen's chest and throw him against the wall. "Terry?" Stephen gasps as his life leaks out onto the floor. Terry shrugs. "Terry died after telling me your countersign. Don't feel bad. He was selling you out to Hector Hammond, but he was greedy, sloppy, so Hammond called me," Terry says as he taps a button. A mist sprays over him, and the face of Terry dissolves to reveal another man. "My name's Keith, but my call sign on this job is Nemesis," the man says. But Stephen is beyond hearing now. Keith reaches for his phone and taps a button. "Are they dead?" Hector Hammond demands over the line. Keith confirms and lets Hammond know that he's secured the Mento device. "Apparently, it makes you see aliens," he points out. Hammond pauses for a moment. "There's a coincidence," he mutters. "I have another job for you. This one's weird," he tells Keith. The hitman taps another button and mist shifts around him again. "Give me the details. I'll decide how weird it is. What's the name?" he asks. "Mulane. Joe Mulane," Hammond tells him. Meanwhile, in Cam's apartment, Joe leans over the sleeping body of Hal Jordan. Cam, standing nearby. "Joe Mulane, how long is your boyfriend going to sleep on my couch?" Cam asks quietly. Joe shrugs. "He's been out cold for over 24 hours now. Whatever this is, it's not sleeping, and he's not my boyfriend," she says, but Cam isn't having it. "How would I know that? Unless it's because he's in front of my face instead of behind my back," she hisses. But Joe shakes her head and stands. "Cam, enough, okay? I get it. You've been storing little barbs up for years, thinking you'd never get to use them. And now I'm here and you figured I'd stand here and take it? Why not, right? I'm running from something bad and I got nowhere else to go, Jo says as she tries to use her green light to check on Hal. What's that supposed to mean? Cam demands. Jo glances at her, pointing out that she was alone and confused when she and Cam met. I stepped right off the train into your whirlwind, she says, pointing out that Cam moved fast in their relationship and Jo didn't know any better. I was too young and dumb and new to the scene to see you were one big red flag. You love bomb me and then ignore me. I think you're a disaster zone, but so am I, so maybe it evens out, Jo says as she finally sits. Cam glares at her. I wasn't love bombing. I was in love with you, she whispers. Green light flares around Jo as she leans forward, anger in her eyes as she points out that Cam was never around, that she constantly ignored her. There's only one thing in your life that you ever loved, your work. Well, lucky for me, a starship dropped on my town. My childhood friend was infected by an evil shadow thing and won't wake up. My boss is a space Jesus full of cryptic warnings about killer planets. And apparently me and some bird guy are being hunted because we're anomalies in the cosmic order. So now I get to be your work. So, do you love me yet, Cam? Do you finally want to be around? Jo shouts. She finally stops and catches her breath. But Cam is just watching her. She reaches into her pocket, pulls out a cigarette and lights it. Cam takes a deep breath and stares at Jo. Bird guy. Where did bird guy come from? She finally asks. Jo is surprised. What? She asks. You're right, okay? I can't turn it off. So where does bird guy fit in? Cam admits as she asks her question. Jo thinks about it for a moment, thinking back to when she struck Abin Sur, when she was granted this strange power that fused with her wedding ring. Tomar Ray, he's like me. He's somebody who got his power by accident. He's an anomaly, she says, thinking back to the images of the strange alien she saw. A man with hot pink skin and something soulless and metal growing into his mind. A face of steel. A circle of light, a black star, and Tomar Ray, the anomaly of the red light. I saw him, and he saw me, she whispers. Cam nods as she looks down at Jo's ring. Take off the ring. If you took Abin Sur's power with the ring, is it in you, or it, or both? Cam asks. Jo hesitates for a moment, but finally nods and pulls off the ring. The green light immediately falls away and she's back to normal. Oh my god, I'm me. I'm normal, she whispers. Cam nods and takes the ring, slipping it quickly onto her finger. She glows slightly and whirls to smash her coffee table. It shatters with one blow. Cam stares at the debris before sliding the ring off her finger. I don't think I could break a coffee table before, but it looks like this only really works properly for you. But it's still a weapon, a powerful one, Cam says. She hands it back to Jo before heading to the door. Get out a pen and paper and write down every detail of those visions you had. Anything at all that comes to mind. I need to contact Simon Bass, my partner. I think he can be trusted. I don't think we can do this without him, Cam says. She stops at the door before turning back and looking at Jo. Stay away from the windows, she says before disappearing. Jo stares after her, sadness in her eyes. So you still don't want to be around, she whispers. Meanwhile, at the Department of Extranormal Operations, Agent Simon Baz and his new partner, Agent Carrie Limbo, sit in front of their boss. Carrie glances at Baz and questions why he wears a mask. Baz shrugs and smiles. Souvenir from the Dr. Silence case. A minor ailment. If I see my own naked face, I cease to exist, he tells her. But their boss interrupts the talk, asking about the Evergreen incident. You said we have a name? He asks. Baz nods and reaches into his pocket for his phone and shows him a picture. Hal Jordan, Baz says, explaining that they have images of Hal with a Nevada state trooper that went missing. They explain that his internet presence is quite extensive. He has a friend that is a person of interest, Baz explains as he swipes through the photos and shows a picture of Hal with Joe. Should I recognize her? John asks. Baz shakes his head. No, but there's a reason I do. I went to her wedding, then she broke my partner's heart, and then she moved back home to Evergreen. As my partner Cameron Chase's ex-wife, John. That is Sojourner Mulane, Baz tells him. John ponders this for a moment before asking them both to look into it. The agents nod in agreement and leave the office. Once he is alone, John reaches for his phone and dials. Carol Ferris, this is John Double. Is Mr. Hammond available? I've got a possible location for that name you gave me, he says softly into the phone. Meanwhile, back at Cam's apartment, Joe is busy writing everything down that she can remember. Suddenly, there is a knock at the door. Joe? If you're in there, open up. It's me, John. John Stewart calls out. Joe uses her Green Lantern powers to look through the door and is surprised to see John standing there, wearing a suit that's shiny and gold. She opens the door slowly. John, what are you doing here? And what's with that suit? She asks. John raises a golden pistol and fires. The round takes her in the shoulder and knocks her back, sending her stumbling to the floor. Social media is a wonderful thing, isn't it? People are just hurling their information out there. Names, dates, photos, videos. Those are all useful for the audio, to get the voice. Getting the voice is the difficult part, John says as he walks into the room. He stands over Joe and raises the pistol, taking aim. You're not John, she gasps. He smiles at her. Well spotted, he says before firing again into her stomach. Those are gold bullets, by the way, he tells her. John taps a button and mist envelops his face, dissolving it to reveal Keith beneath. Joe glares at him and tries to struggle to her feet. You're a dead man, she gasps. Impressive willpower, he tells her with a nod. My name is Keith, by the way, but my call sign on this job is Goldface, he tells her. The mist envelops him again, and he is now wearing a gold mask, and he raises his pistol and prepares to fire again. And that was the complete story for Absolute Green Lantern issue 9 by Al Ewing. The villain Goldface has arrived in a deadly manner, and it seems the Green Lantern powers might actually be transferable. Who knows what's going to happen next? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.